In this video, we're going to talk about the third and final form of appeal found in classical rhetoric as defined by Aristotle, and that is logos. This one is an appeal to reason. So whereas pathos, for example, is more arguing through somebody's heart, this one is more arguing through somebody's brain. Logos, pretty straightforward. It's using pure reasoning to make you believe something. So this could be the logic behind a written argument, it could be data, it could be concrete examples of something that has happened, but it is trying to just as rationally as possible make you believe something. The good news is this one is the easiest to kind of identify. The bad news is it is not really used on its own a lot. It's really rare to see just logos in a public speech. It's usually combined with ethos or pathos, or more commonly both. We really unknowingly use a lot of the three. And if one is missing from an argument, it's unfortunately usually logos. If you use logos on its own, it can feel really boring or detached, especially if somebody's giving a speech. So then you add pathos to make that person care about it, to have an emotional reason to care about the topic. Logos on its own, people can be really cynical or disbelieving about where this information is coming from, and that's why we might add ethos into it, right? To have that credibility, to have that reason why we can believe the speaker that we can. Right? So this is not a hard and fast rule. It is possible to see logos on its own. I'm just warning you that it's rare. So as we talk about examples, if you are only finding logos in something, give it a second look. See if you can't find an example of pathos or ethos. There might truly just not be. It is possible to only use logos, but it is very rare because people come off as seeming very robotic or dispassionate. And it's usually not as successful as a result. From that book, enough said. The most straightforward of the three, like I've said, is logos. Mark Thompson sums it up by just saying it is pure argument, right? It is not trying to get your audience on board with you emotionally or to believe that you are an expert in it. It is just trying to get them to believe that thing you are trying to say. So last, we'll look at some examples again from Oprah's Golden Globes acceptance speech at the 2018 awards show. I'll read out the complete example here on the screen. This is an excerpt from her transcript from her speech. And then we'll talk about the highlighted parts in red that are some examples of logos. So she said, in 1944, Reese Taylor was a young wife and mother walking home from a church service she'd attended in Abbeville, Alabama, when she was abducted by 6 armed white men, raped, and left blindfolded by the side of the road coming home from church. They threatened to kill her if she ever told anyone, but her story was reported to the NAACP, where a young worker by the name of Rosa Parks became the lead investigator on her case, and together they sought justice. But justice wasn't an option in the era of Jim Crow. The men who tried to destroy her were never persecuted. Reese Taylor died 10 days ago, just shy of her 98th birthday. So there's possibly more that we could have highlighted here in logos, but the kind of bookends of this excerpt are great examples of logos because we are talking about a real person. So we are talking about a real thing that happened in order to further Oprah's point about the oppression of women, about what people put up with, especially women of color. So we start off giving the specifics with the year, the name, the place, and everything. And then at the end, we talk more specifics, right? So she passed away, never saw justice. So these are elements, these are just facts of a case, right? She's not necessarily getting into in this part what is right or wrong about it. Hopefully that's very straightforward to the audience, what is very wrong about all of this. But this is an example of logos here for that reason, where we are recounting a tale from somebody else. One more example So when she says, it was somewhere in Rosa Parks' heart almost 11 years later when she made the decision to stay seated on that bus in Montgomery, and it's here with every woman who chooses to say me too. So this is pretty powerful because she is taking this, again, like we said, the Me Too movement, which was kind of at its, beginning stages, and that was a big factor in a lot of the politics around the Golden Globes in 2018. And she connects that back to Rosa Parks, who very well-known activist, especially within the Montgomery bus boycott. So that is a great example of logos because she is taking a fact, she is taking a thing that happened and connecting it back here. So we've got that example for logos. So hopefully at the end of this series, you feel good about finding and defining examples of ethos, pathos, and logos. I've got some additional videos and explanations up on Canvas, so if there are any that you don't feel great about, take a look through those and let me know what questions you still have.